Welcome to Lexington, Kentucky. Crowd filing into Rupp Arena, hoping for a bounce back for the hometown Kentucky Wildcats after a loss to Gonzaga, taking on the Road Warriors, NC Central, out of the MEAC. Hi again, everybody. Matt Schumacher alongside the former Golden State Warrior, Richard Hendricks. Richard, the messaging outside of this program has been clear. A lot of concern about where this team is at 9 games into the season. What do you want to see out of the Wildcats tonight?
Well, you want to see a big-time response, particularly here in front of the home crowd. They want to see if this team's going to give a top-level effort and be connected for 40 minutes.
One of the big stories with this team this year has been the injuries. That, of course, has been part of this slow start through 9 games. They are again tonight out without Mo Diabate, Jaden Quaintance, and Jalen Lowe is questionable, dealing with that lingering shoulder injury, though he did participate in shoot-around this morning. Our officials, Todd Austin, Will Howard, Lucas Santos. We are underway from Rupp Arena. This NC Central team has played a ridiculous schedule. North Carolina State, Virginia, North Carolina. They were well within striking distance against the Tar Heels until about 3 minutes left in the first half. And that is a good sign for Trent Noah, making just his second start of the young season.
And exactly what the Wildcats need. And that happened because the ball was swung right around the horn, creating a clean shot for Noah, get his feet set and knocked it down.
NC Central with 10 new players, just 1 returning starter, their point guard Deontay Johnson. Meanwhile, Kentucky using their 4th different starting lineup, and they get 2 in the paint easily by Colin Chandler.
Really good job there by Chandler, taking his time in the pick and roll.
Lattimore floater won't go. He has been one of the top scorers in the MEAC this year, and when we talked with Coach Pope at the Kentucky shoot-around, he was the first name mentioned when you asked him about NC Central.
For good reason. He transcended from Seton Hill University Division II, averaging a little over 10 points per game, but he's turned into a big-time scorer here for Coach Moten in NC Central.
Got to get the ball in here, and they did not. And there was a foul to boot. Now, Coach Moten's been around the game for a long time. In fact, most games coached in program history. He's taken NC Central to 4 NCAA tournaments, the last in 2019, and he's done it with a program that is not as well resourced as most at his level.
Well, Coach Lavrell Moten is well respected in the coaching game, and from his playing days at NC Central, one of the most decorated players that they've had, has done a tremendous job, but he's had some challenges as of late. Here he is with a new roster, but continuing to fight early on in this season.
Lattimore with the basketball, averaging nearly 21 points per game. Left it short from 3. A tap out will stay here. NC Central picked 5th in the MEAC. Certainly have the ability to get up and down the floor and score some points. Turn it over there, going back to UK. Well, Coach Pope last night on his radio show talked about a major overhaul within the program right now. Everything, Richard, from changing offensive and defensive schemes, looking at how they're preparing for games. But the biggest thing was changing the attitude and the temperament within the program.
That's the mentality that you have. You have to have an approach that you're going to come out and take what you want. Be a lot more physical, particularly on the defensive end. The last couple of possessions for Kentucky, they set the tone, and it's resulted in some turnovers. They're a turnover by the Wildcats. Ball back to NC Central.
One of the interesting things that Mark Pope told us is we have to burn white hot with our competitiveness from here on out. It's not really his typical way of doing things. He's a much more jovial guy. They like to have fun. That was certainly the case at BYU, but he told us we're past that. We know where we're at right now as a program, and it's really all hands on deck to get it fixed.
There's a big offensive rebound by Carvey, and that's a situation you talk about from Mark Pope, that you want to see your team have this level of toughness, particularly around the basket. But they've dug themselves a little bit of a hole early on in these tough losses against the major games and big-time teams. They're going to see if they can respond.
Here's Lattimore in transition. No. Carvey fighting for the rebound. Noah comes away with it. Aberdeen the kick out. Second opportunity. Here's Owe from downtown, and he hits it from the left side.
Good job by Kentucky. The extra effort on the offensive rebound, and the perfect time to shoot a three ball. And big for Otega Owe to get knocked one down early.
Battle comes right back the other way. Inserted into the starting lineup tonight for the first time this year because of his shot-making ability. Hit a couple of big threes in the loss to North Carolina.
Coach Moten said with his height at 6'8", he gives some extension to be able to shoot over top of defenses and earn the right in practice to get out there and compete. And there he is, knocking one down.
Here's Owe, the SEC preseason player of the year. 5 to shoot. Inside Marino. Oh, that's a beautiful move and just left it off the tin.
Tough break for Marino. And in a game where you're looking to find some shots to go in, those are tough ones. When you've done everything right, it goes all the way around the cylinder and then finds its way out.
Oh, great slip inside to Carvey. On the thread by Deontay Johnson, who right now leads the MEAC in assists per game with 6. Marino goes right past Carvey with a two-hand jam.
That's where the advantage in this particular game can be from Kentucky, and great reps for Marino. As North Carolina Central does not have a lot of depth on the inside, if you're Marino, you want to set up shop right down low and attack. The resistance won't be there.
Making his 3rd consecutive start tonight, Marino has really stepped up as Kentucky has lacked depth in the post. Mark Pope's team with a 3-point lead, looking for a bounce back tonight after the loss to Gonzaga. Welcome back to Lexington. First trip to Rupp Arena for NC Central, led by the legendary LeVelle Moten. We told you he's in his 17th season coaching at NC Central, his alma mater, one of the great all-time players in the history of this rich program, 3rd in program history in scoring, and has committed himself not to being just a basketball coach, Richard Hendricks, but a life coach.
Well, this is a coach who's had plenty of opportunities to take the leap to go to bigger programs, but he understands that he has some work here at NC Central. He played here, loves the program, and wants to continue to grow it. And here he is on the road in Rupp Arena, has his team battling early on.
Well, this has sort of been the theme, right, at this level of basketball in particular. It used to be back when he was taking this team regularly to the NCAA tournament, even beat Missouri in 2016. He was able to get guys out of high school that no one else wanted, develop them, have them for 3 or 4 years, and go win a bunch of games. It's changed, as you well know, and it's about building rosters every single year.
After a lengthy professional basketball career, he really cut his teeth being a really good trainer and has great connections of helping players to improve. And he was able to build up his program by way of skill development. Not able to do so much now with the ways of the transfer portal, as oftentimes players are not on campus for a long amount of time, which has made him have to be much more creative to be effective early on. And doing that also with the tough non-conference schedule. A lot of challenges for head coach LeVelle Moten and his staff, but he still remains positive to trying to do a tremendous job to be prepared for MEAC play.
Here's Deontay Johnson, good slip pass, left it short. That was Kelechi Okoronkwo.
Foul on the hook, as Kentucky was looking to go to some high-low action. A little too much pepper on the pass from Marino. But I really like the idea of what Kentucky's doing by moving the ball around. They're looking for options in the high-low. They're trying to get a piece of the paint. In many of Kentucky's struggles that they've had this season, it's almost like you've seen them moving the ball around without the purpose.
Stolen by Johnson, 3-on-2. Mikhail Carpenter pulls it back out. Armando Battle missing a 3. Numbers for Kentucky for now. Oweh, floater, rims it down.
Soft touch. Kentucky able to take advantage of the 5-4 advantage coming down in transition. Oweh with the soft floater over the top.
Carpenter, 3 won't go. Oweh the rebound. Jasper Johnson, talented young freshman, has worked his way into getting more minutes as of late. Battle's second 3. And that stops a 2.5-minute scoring drought for the Eagles.
Really good job by NC Central. Kentucky's got to improve the passing angle on those post entries. NC Central able to swim, move around, and get the steal, and then convert and transition.
Reno looking to get it down to Garrison. Less than 10 to shoot for Kentucky. Garrison off the mark for 3. Here's Johnson in transition. Three from Lattimore. Johnson pulls up. Now, you said something interesting to me during the last break, which is that you felt Kentucky pressing a little bit. How do you mean?
A little bit. And oftentimes when you're a player, it can get to you. You can feel the pressure in the gym. With every miss, you can feel and hear the sigh of the crowd. And defensively, trying to play so hard that you found yourself a little bit out of position, gambling on some passes, and it's resulting in some turnovers and unnecessary fouls. It's important in those moments to continue to still play your game and collect the composure.
Good feed inside to Garrison by Chandler, results in 2 shots. We will get those shots when we come back. A 4-point lead here early for Kentucky on a frosty night in Lexington. Saturday triple header on SEC Network. Number 20 Auburn hosting Chattanooga, then 17th ranked Vandy. Have they been the surprise of the league so far, taking on Central Arkansas? Then Richard is in New Orleans. LSU hosting SMU at Smoothie King Arena in downtown New Orleans. That is all Saturday right here on the SEC Network and, of course, the ESPN app. Big game looming as well for Kentucky. They will take on Indiana, another opportunity to take on a P4 team. They have struggled, Richard, against ranked and quad 1 opponents. The wins have come easy against quad 4 opponents. But as Mark Pope told us, they have lacked that polish in highly competitive games.
And that's when you have to show up at your best. These are teams in matchups that everyone wants to see in a major spotlight. 2 traditional powerhouses in the game. Kentucky knows they have that Indiana game right around the corner, and it has a big time presence that they'll have to have on their schedule.
Injuries have been a huge point of conversation, not only here in Lexington, but around the country, as folks have been surprised by Kentucky's slow start. How much do you feel, Richard, that injuries have played a role in the way they've played over these 9 games?
Well, injuries definitely play a factor, but at the same situation, you know, it's next man up, and that's your opportunity when you're on a team that you're going to have to be prepared for what you're doing in the practice court and make it translate in the game. I mean, you have these big moments and big teams that you're going to play against, and that's when you want to make sure that you're ready to go out there and deliver regardless of the opponent.
That is certainly the sentiment around here. The feeling coming into the season is that Kentucky had one of the deepest and most talented rosters in the country, and that despite the injuries being significant, there's enough talent on this roster to win without for however long they are without.
Yeah, the team definitely has enough. And when you look at these situations, injuries can never be an excuse, because I'm going to tell you, your opponent doesn't care if you're beat up. And you have an opportunity to come out and scheme things up and play together and execute. It's just a matter of doing that. And you can't lean on those particular situations. But this team, when they do get healthy, I think they will have some big pieces that will come back and contribute And hopefully for the Wildcats, that can make all the difference.
Extra pass by Noah. And Yelovich had it stripped, but he was fouled by Lattimore. Boy, on the other end, though, Lattimore finally on the board, and this is the type of scoring ability he has at all three levels.
He does, and he was able to get it to his offhand there, driving it all the way to the basket. You know, he has a lot of confidence, and here he is coming in the big-time matchup on the road. He wants to display what he can do.
Garrison in trouble. Cross-court pass. Here's Jasper Johnson. Step through, puts it into the left hand.
Good balance right there by Johnson as he was able to take on a little bit of that contact and still able to knock it down. In a game like this, Lattimore obviously has that ability to shoot, but you want to make sure you value possessions, particularly early on.
He just picked up his second foul, Lattimore. And already the fifth foul on NC Central will send Kentucky back to the line.
If you're Lattimore, that early shot and break in the fast break, as you can see, talking with head coach Lavelle Moulton, you shoot that one early, you miss, you put your team in a compromising situation on the counterattack, and he's the one that pays the price, picking up a foul.
He told us we have to play in 4-minute increments. We cannot just run up and down the floor all night long with Kentucky because they will wear us out and run this game out of the gym quickly. Gage Lattimore will have to have a big game tonight if they want to stay competitive late on the road here in Rupp Arena.
Now you can see that he's locked in and wants to continue to play a strong game. But it's those little decisions right there, as you mentioned, playing the game in 4-minute increments, value in the basketball, that you don't want to throw away possessions in the game that can allow Kentucky to get the crowd in it, go on a run, and then those runs just be too much for you to overcome.
Largest lead of the night for Kentucky here at 9. 10:30 and change to go in the opening half.
Kentucky showing a little bit of zone and to mix things up defensively.
Here's Archie off the bounce. Step back won't go. Good offensive rebound by Kyrick Davis. Archie on the reload.
And that's a tough situation for Kentucky. Denzel Aberdeen did a really good job fighting over that screen.
Oh, Aberdeen showing some bounce.
Got it right back on the offensive end. Really good job by Kentucky getting out in transition after the made basket.
Well, he has really had to step into a much more significant role due to the injury to Jalen Lowe. And well, point guard is not his natural position. He's more comfortable playing off the ball, but he's had to take ownership of the point guard position for the most part when Jalen Lowe has been absent.
Well, I do think in this game of positionless basketball, you've seen Kentucky be under Mark Pope. Brandon Garrison there going down low using his size and physicality to try to and one. You can see the ability there, takes on the harm and gets the hoop. But under Mark Pope, you've seen Kentucky play a little bit of a brand where they have positionless basketball. It's easy to say you don't have a point guard and you're playing out of position, but we saw last season with Kentucky many times Amari Williams being the point forward for this team, initiating the offense at the top of the key. The point position may not be natural for Denzel Aberdeen, but with everyone playing in a connected style, then the offense should flow where you're never uncomfortable. And you figure out where you can find your creases to backdoor cut, read the situation on dribble handoff, and the ball handler, as far as the point position, shouldn't matter as much.
Archie was rejected by Garrison, but a foul first on Jasper Johnson, his first, and just second on Kentucky. So Archie will go to the line for 2 shots. It's an NC Central team that got down double digits early against Carolina a couple of weeks ago, then went on a run, brought it back to within 3 with a little over 3 minutes to play in the opening half, and then a couple of poor decisions and missed shots early in the shot clock allowed the Tar Heels to advanced the lead to 15 at the half. But make no mistake about it, this team has the ability to stay within striking distance of Kentucky.
And they get back in it with their switching defenses. Here they are dropping back into a 1-3-1. They can change from a 1-3-1 and get into a zone to a man-to-man, but there they are. It was effective. That's a win. And see, for both of these teams in these ball games, you want to make sure that you're trying to win every single possession. You have to simplify the game in such.
Kyric Davis stepped out of bounds. That's the 5th turnover on the Eagles. And the Cats will get it back. Yelovich hit this time. And the third 3 of the opening half for Kentucky.
Yelovich not knocking it down last time when the Eagles went zone, but this time he swings it back to him and he strokes it from the corner.
Good slip inside Carvey. That's the 2nd time Carvey has slipped past a Kentucky big tonight.
And just a spirited duck in right there by Corey Carvey, and a good entry pass gave him an angle right around Garrison for the easy layup.
There's Garrison with the basketball, almost traveled. NC Central wanted it, and he's stripped by Archie. Up ahead, Davis with a 2-hand jam. And a timeout taken by Mark Pope. Not pleased with Kentucky's transition defense.
Mark Pope was absolutely livid going into the break at the last possession for Kentucky. And Brandon Garrison gets trapped in the high post, but it's not just the turnover, it's the hustle back that leads to the easy slam dunk for North Carolina Central. That seems to get Mark Pope fired up. Now, this is a situation, if Kentucky, you got to ask yourself, what do you want to be? You haven't been hitting shots at a high clip from the outside, but you have to make a decision that your team is going to have to lean on the defensive identity. But here's Mark Pope speaking to Brandon Garrison. Get a little coaching. You have to hope that he's such a talented player that he will only respond in the moments when they need him.
Inside Marino. Left it off the front end. Well, NC Central has made its last 3 shots after beginning the game, shooting about 30% from the floor. Under 8 minutes to play, single-digit game. Archie set back by Aberdeen. And now Yelovich leading the break. Aberdeen knifing to the cup and rolls it down.
Really good job by Denzel Aberdeen. Did an outstanding job denying the ball on the outside on the wing, but then on the backdoor cut, recovered with the rejection, and then the layup on the other end.
Carvey floats it in off the window. He is nifty around the glass and has become the 2nd leading scorer this year for NC Central.
NC Central is doing a really good job of taking their 2-way options on the offensive sets. If they can't get open and they're denied, they are backdoor cutting, slipping, trying to find the option, then pinpoint passes, resulting in easy layups.
Aberdeen slips it to Marino in the left-hand finish.
Good job by Marino, making himself available on that baseline drive for Aberdeen up under the goal. This is where you're Kentucky. You want to see if you can put together a string of stops right here with 6 minutes and 35 seconds to go in the half.
Here's Lattimore, the leading scorer for NC Central. Has not had a particularly hot start, just 1 for 6 from the floor.
What's the activity by Kentucky? And Denzel Aberdeen recovers with a beautiful rejection, and then he's able to get down to the other end, being aggressive, finishing in traffic.
Such a spark for Kentucky, as he was last year at Florida, coming off the bench. A vital piece on the Florida Gators' run to a national championship. Mark Pope told us, yeah, he's got a national championship ring, but you would never know it by the way he works.
Oh, he was a big piece of that national championship team, and actually was the one piece that was on Florida prior to Todd Golden there, as Otega Oweh knocks down another tray ball.
That is the 4th of the game for the Wildcats, and a timeout taken by Lavelle Moten. So Kentucky a little bit more urgency out of the timeout by Mark Pope.
That is the 32nd timeout.
Just a response you wanted to see from Kentucky out of the last time out. They'll continue to talk things over to make more adjustments.
Well, we were talking about Denzel Aberdeen coming over from Florida. Certainly he's had a little bit of a different role this year than he's had ever before in his career, being an every game type of starter. And Richard, he has rewarded the Kentucky coaching staff with his performance, career highs across the board.
Well, as a player, you want that challenge. He played for 4 years at Florida, wins a national championship, has an opportunity to transfer, and he does so with a lot of expectations here at Kentucky for him to be a two-way player. Been a little bit out of position, but he's made the adjustment, which is very difficult when you're talking about playing on a new team and you having that type of familiarity with one program. He's been able to make the adjustment, but I've been impressed tonight. His intensity on the defensive end, that type of play can be contagious for the Wildcats.
13-point game, 6 minutes to go in the opening half. Up ahead to Jasper Johnson. And he draws contact from Battle. The second foul on the senior from McKinney, Texas. And back to the line will go Jasper Johnson.
A lot of contact coming down in transition, and Jasper Johnson. I don't know, that might have been a little bit of a clean block as the off arm initiated a lot of the contact, but nonetheless for Kentucky, Jasper Johnson going to the free throw line shooting 2.
Well, women's basketball takes over the SEC Network tomorrow night. Grace Slaughter, the 9-2 Missouri Tigers, hosting Barry Wallace, and the 8-1 Illinois Fighting Illini. It's also available on the ESPN app. Tigers with a great start under first-year head coach Kelly Harper. That should be a highly competitive game on the women's side tomorrow night right here on the SEC Network.
Kelly Harper back in the SEC after spending time at Tennessee, took a year off and joined us on the SEC Network. She has her team playing good basketball in year 1 in Mizzou.
Foul on Colin Chandler, his first, just the third on Kentucky. Wildcats on a 7-0 run over the last 90 seconds. They have done a nice job clamping down on one of the top scorers in the MEAC. Engage Lattimore with the basketball. Push shot won't go. Rebound Owe.
Kentucky's got to move the ball from side to side. You want to see if you can get back to that third side.
No, but Marino there to clean it up. He has great touch around the rim.
Malachi Marino being active early on the interior.
6 early points for the freshman. Lattimore left open. A uncharacteristic start for a guy that has had a superstar start to the year. And Trent Noah buries it from the corner.
At this point right here, Kentucky is starting to impose their will. They're getting out and running. If you're NC Central, you have to do a much better job of having a longer set on the offensive end. Allow yourself to get back in defensive transition. Kentucky's pushing the ball up down the sidelines. Cut that off and force them to play you in the half-court set.
Kyrick Davis fouled, trying to get around the defender. Marino second on the 7-footer.
Another wide open look. Kentucky and Noah. A little bit of string music from the corner.
That's the type of ball movement Mark Pope wants to see.
Absolutely. You make more shots, obviously, when the shots are uncontested. And the ball moves faster than the man. So if you can move the ball around from side to side, then your shooting percentages will go up tremendously.
There's Noah on the break. Getting up. A 14-0 run for Kentucky. Owe with a steal. Watch out. Counted in the foul. All Cats. out of the Mark Pope timeout.
Well, Kentucky starting to flex their muscle, particularly on the defensive end, and turning it into offense as Noah's going up top for the slam, and then Otega Oweh in the passing lanes, taking on the contact and going to the line for the old-fashioned three-point play.
Oh, that's what a little defense to offense will do for you guys. A 16-0 run for the Cats out of the Mark Pope timeout. He took that timeout, of course, because he was not pleased with the transition defense of the Cats. They have turned it on in a hurry over the last 3 minutes and change.
Listen, this is the type of identity that this Kentucky team is going to have. They've had a struggle to manufacture buckets, but if you can get out and run in transition by way of your defense, then this is what's going to be the answer for them to get things back going in the half-court set offensively.
20 of Kentucky's 47 points tonight have been on the fast break. They've caused 8 turnovers, and their 16-0 scoring run, the longest of the season so far. Less than 4 minutes to go in the opening half. Kentucky's largest lead of the game to this point. Lattimore off the bounce. 3 to shoot. Oh, Deontay Johnson beating the horn with a left-hand lay-in.
Good drive there. He got a little bit of a crease to take it to the lane and up over top of the shot blocker.
Noah's 3 won't go, and there's an offensive foul on Yelovich.
The foul is on Yelovich. That's his first on the team.
4th on the team, 1st on the sophomore from Croatia.
A long, methodical drive by the Eagles was able to get that over the help side, not rotating over quick enough. Deontay Johnson's able to get that one up on the glass with his left hand. If you're NC Central, you want to run long possessions in this. You want to see if you can limit Kentucky's offensive possessions going into the half.
And the slow start continues for Lattimore. Just 1 for 10 shooting for a guy averaging 20 points per game. Oweh offensive rebound. Takes the bump. Won't go with the push shot.
That's one where Jelenic has to give Oweh his opportunity to work out. He had the mismatch on the offensive rebound in the post up. Clear out of his way and let him post up the point guard, and he can get back to that jump hook.
There's Jay Slack. Had it stripped, and a foul is called on the drive. Well, Thursday night right here on the SEC Network, we'll have the exclusive reveal of next year's SEC football schedule, 8 Eastern, a 2-hour breakdown of each school and the top matchups in 2026. Never too early to start talking next year's football schedule in this conference, although still a lot to play for many schools in the SEC, including your Alabama Crimson Tide. Were you nervous at all going into Selection Sunday?
Well, I think as you're the team that's the #1 overall seed going into the SEC tournament, I don't think you should be nervous. I think to go into the conference championship game be a bad precedent to set to say that a team that has to play an extra game is going to be left out of the college football playoff.
I don't say this often, Richard Hendricks, but I completely agree with you.
That's a good thing.
And of course, you have no bias whatsoever talking about the Alabama Crimson Tide, former first-team All-SECer right here.
Well, listen, I take pride in telling it how it is. And if Alabama was in a situation where they shouldn't, then I would say it.
Oweh with a nice hesitation. Off the pump fake, lays it in, and now Oweh in double figures on a 5-for-6 start.
That's a good job by Kentucky coming down and recognizing the switching defense of NC Central going into that zone. They find the soft spots, and Oweh using the fundamentals with the shot fake to get the defender up in the air. Kentucky switching all of the dribble handoffs.
Arnold hits a three. He has that ability, though Lavelle Moten hasn't played him a ton yet this year. Told us we might see more of him tonight because of the three-point shot making ability.
Moten's been going deep into his bench, trying to figure out some things with this roster.
Oh, Noah responds with a three of his own. And that is the third of the night for Trent Noah.
The corner threes have been open for Kentucky all night long. They've been able to capitalize on the slow rotations when NC Central's in the zone defense.
Corey Carvey spinning through contact, lays it in. He is so consistent and reliable in the paint.
Really good level of concentration there by Carvey to meet that pass and then finish that shot. Presence of mind where the shot blocker was.
Under 10 seconds to go in the opening half. Chandler finds Noah. Zipped in Owe. Fadeaway jumper rattles out. Marino put back, won't beat the buzzer. And off the mark. But a nice first half response from Kentucky. Shooting nearly 60% from the floor. And they scored 20 points in the fast break. We sent it to Peter and Damian at halftime here in Lexington.
Introducing SportsCenter for you, personalized every single day. Now available on the ESPN app. Powered by your favorites.
Welcome back to Rupp Arena, where Kentucky went on an 18-2 run to close out the first half. Otego Owe was fantastic. 12 points, 6 boards, a pair of steals, including that Spider-Man suction on the sideline. And how about Trent Noah from downtown? 3 triples in the first half for the young man who got his second start in a Kentucky uniform this year. It was a first half that had a little bit of shakiness for Kentucky, but a timeout with 8:06 to play completely changed the dynamic of the first half, and Kentucky went on a big run, ultimately going into the halftime up 52-31. Matt Schumacher, Richard Hendricks with you. And Richard, your thoughts on the way the Wildcats responded over those final 8 minutes?
Well, I think Mark Pope was fired up, and when he was fired up during that timeout, he clearly got the attention of his team in that moment. The response was at a high level. The defensive effort picked up tremendously for Kentucky over the last 8 minutes, and it has resulted in easy layups. I think the question for Kentucky will be, can you continue to play at that high level of expectation, not necessarily against an opponent, but the standard for yourself?
The issue this year for Kentucky has not been in these types of games. 5-0 against quad 4 opponents this year. The issues have come in the highly competitive games. That's part of why Mark Pope told us tonight he wants to see 40 full minutes of playing to the standard, as you just mentioned. It's less than 5 on the timer. A foul on Trent Noah, his second.
Oftentimes as a player, you are trying to figure out why can't you make that level of play translate against better teams. And oftentimes it's just about creating the habits of playing in a certain way at all times. Kentucky will have to get things figured out, obviously, and get healthy. But the confidence can be built against any opponent by playing the game the right way.
Latimer was held to 1 for 10 shooting, one of the top scorers in the MEAC this year, and that is a nice start for the sophomore who transferred up from the Division II level prior to this season.
A really good move by Gage Lattimore. Used that rhythm dribble to get right into his shot, and he knocks it down.
Aberdeen zips it inside. Marino with a two-hand jam.
Good patience there. And Malachi Marino in the seal on the duck in with a nice pinpointed pass. When NC Central's in that 1-3-1 zone, the open spots have been in the corners, the high post, but the duck ins from the big creates a lot of opportunity to put pressure on the defense.
Kick ball called on Chandler.
Well, the ball moves around, but Malachi Moreno, there he is. He's working in space right there in that restricted area. And he uses that frame to put his man right up under the basket. A great pinpointed pass results in an easy 2.
Chandler pops. Rims out of 3.
Not a big fan, even though Chandler in great hustle to get back after the missed shot.
Owe off the bounce, lays it home. 14 points for Otega Owe. The SEC preseason player of the year. Missed all of fall, did not see the floor in August and September. And they feel like he's really finally comfortable on the floor in the role that they've asked him to be in this year.
Well, for Otega Owe, this is a new team. People have to remember, obviously you have a lot of new players coming together trying to get some chemistry. And he finds himself now playing that leadership role. And maybe that might not have been his natural role that he had coming in on the previous team and also when he transferred from Oklahoma. But these are the cards he's been dealt. And he has to figure out how to take his leadership to another level. And it really can, quite frankly, just start with his play. Getting it done on the defensive end and the offensive end.
Well, you referenced it. Last year, he came to a Kentucky team that had 6 fifth-year seniors. Didn't have to lead. Was able to just play his game without the microscope of the media and everybody else. And also, Richard, without the whole team looking to him to learn how do we handle these situations? How do we play in this situation? It is, as you mentioned, an entirely different scenario for the senior.
Absolutely. And the expectations that newcomers have here at Kentucky, they're going to look to him naturally. There's a newcomer here with Aberdeen. The nice drive to the cup. But it's a work in progress if you're Owe to figure out how to lead your group, especially with the expectations of being the preseason SEC Player of the Year.
Marino just taking it himself. Bully ball lays it in. Boy, has he grown up fast. The 7-foot, 250-pound freshman from Georgetown, Kentucky.
And that's exactly how you want to play if you're 7 foot 250. He has tremendous size. In a game of this magnitude, you want to continue to wear your defender down with your physicality. Kentucky's been able to get into the paint, which is going to be extremely effective for them moving forward, getting paint touches with strong drives right there by Aberdeen. And then Moreno going right through the chest of Carney. Carvey, really good play.
They are plus 20 in the paint tonight. Step back from Carpenter. Knocks it in, a deep 2.
NC Central has hit some really tough shots over some contests here in the second half.
Now their head coach Lavelle Moten told us most of their roster rather, which includes 10 new players, didn't get to campus until late summer. So they missed the traditional summer camp. And really, the last couple of months have been the pseudo summer camp. Unfortunately, it's come on the game floor against Power 4 opponent after Power 4 opponent on the road.
Mo Deben took a few times to come out and teach his team before going into the halftime break. And the practice reps that you get, tough travel with this early season schedule he has, going on the road so many times. As we saw the newcomers on this roster, you know, for a coach of his magnitude and experience, teaching has to be something that he really, really values. But it makes it much more difficult considering the constraints that he's had this season.
Picked to finish 5th in the MEAC this year. Feels like they have the pieces to make a run in that tournament, which is the most important thing in a league like that, a one-bid league. 3 days in March. Aberdeen up and under, left it off the front end.
Absolutely. You want to be playing your best basketball late in the season. And both of these teams starting to settle down, playing a little bit of good basketball, particularly in their half-court sets. The defensive transition for both of these teams on the counterattack has to improve.
Lattimore's first made three, Richard. He was 0 for 5 prior to, a guy that shot over 40% from beyond the arc. Aberdeen. Oh, wait, come on! Put it on a poster! Whoa!
Talking about high-level athleticism. Otega Oweh taking advantage of the lack of the block out by NC Central, going up top.
That's a beautiful take and response by Corey Carvey, who's been fantastic in the paint tonight for NC Central.
Carvey's been so impressive down low, not backing down one bit, reading the situations well, slipping, knowing when to duck in. Nice finesse.
But everybody's still thinking about this last dunk, Mr. Hendricks.
But for good reason. Otega Oweh, one of the best athletes in the SEC, and it's a big reason like this. He's the preseason SEC Player of the Year. Otega Oweh going up top for the Wildcats.
Saturday, a triple header right here on SEC Network. Number 21 Auburn, 15th ranked Vanderbilt, and Richard Hendricks will be in New Orleans for SMU LSU at the Smoothie King Center, all on Saturday on the SEC Network and, of course, the ESPN app. 6 teams in the SEC ranked in the AP Top 25. The Commodores unbeaten at 9-0, and the Razorbacks with a monster upset of Louisville with one of the youngest teams at the Power Conference level. That was a big win in year 2 of the John Calipari era.
Arkansas is a talented team. Those 2 freshmen, Darius Acuff Jr., Malik Thomas, they can really get after it. They have a very athletic team that can defend at all 5 positions. Malik Ewan on the inside, Nick Pringle. I think Coach Kyle's team definitely has what it takes to be at the top of the SEC, alongside, as you saw in that graphic, with Mark Byington's Vanderbilt Commodores. They're definitely a dark horse this season in the SEC.
A couple of big games coming up for them at the end of the non-conference slate, including Memphis. They've really yet to be tested so far this year, the Commodores. There's Jasper Johnson on the break. Meanwhile, Jalen Lowe checking in for the first time tonight for Kentucky. Oweh left open, gathers and hits from downtown, and it is season high 19 for Otega Oweh.
He's starting to feel it a little bit and knocking down the shots from the outside, 3 for 3. Early on in the shoot-around this morning, you saw multiple Kentucky players here out early getting up the extra reps. They understand the magnitude of the moment.
Oweh with a strip, his 3rd steal. Skip pass, tipped out of bounds. It'll stay here with 11 on the timer.
Well, when you get wide open, you got to be able to knock them down. And Otega Owe able to take his time, line that one up, and he strokes it. 3 for 3 this game from three-point land. An efficient shooting performance.
8 for 10 from the floor. Nothing has felt forced from Owe. Meanwhile, that one might have been forced by Johnson, but he's bailed out by a foul of the three-point variety, and the freshman's headed back to the line.
Jasper Johnson at the line for 2-3.
Jasper Johnson, a legacy athlete here at Kentucky. Both his grandfather and his father played on the football team. His father, of course, a local high school football coach and athletics director. Johnson played for his father for a couple of years before taking basketball more seriously, then played at a couple of different academies, Link, and of course Overtime Elite in Atlanta. But he told us that growing up in a household where your dad is the coach, his dad made sure he was watching a lot of ball. And he said, Richard, my dad made sure I watched a lot of old heads like Allen Iverson and Kobe Bryant.
No, he didn't.
If they are old heads, then
goodness.
what are we?
Where has the game
we
gone?
Got problems.
Well, yes, and they know they have problems. They have problems. They call Allen Iverson an old head. We have to do a much better job of teaching the young.
Hey, you know what? These kids were born after 2003. Isn't that wild to think?
Most definitely.
Lattimore a little bit banged up after the rebound, trailing behind the play. Inside Carvey, who's been fantastic tonight for the Eagles. Banks it in, a chance at the and one.
Yes, he has. He's shown tremendous poise in the low post. And this display of footwork. Look at him, catches the ball on the low block. The rotation comes over. He splits it, finds just a little slither to get it up on the glass, and he's going to the line to shoot for the and one.
Remarkable what he's been able to do in year one at NC Central. Spent 2 years at the junior college level. Last season was really a rotational piece. Played less than 12 minutes a game at Morehead State. And Lavelle Moten told us that really in his collegiate career he's never had this much individual coaching and communication with the coaching staff.
And the responsibility that he now has as the main interior player. You know, it speaks volumes of Coach Moten's ability to be able to quickly get these guys to buy in. He said a lot of it's had to do with the love that he's been able to share with these guys.
Noah with the lob to Marino. Lattimore had it stripped, and I believe that is a foul on Noah. It is. Third on the sophomore from Harlan, Kentucky.
Well, it's the activity, getting multiple cracks at it. In Kentucky, great effort going up top. Noah with the alley-oop. Moreno throwing that one down. But it's the second and third effort from the Wildcats to get the loose balls, the 50-50 balls, the offensive rebounds, deflections. That's what you want to see if you're a Wildcat fan, if you're head coach Mark Pope.
Well, Mark Pope said after the 94-59 loss to Gonzaga, which, by the way, was their worst loss since the early 1990s, that he, as a former player, is PO'd at the head coach too. There's been a lot of circulating social media posts and what have you from former players questioning the effort, which is the word you just brought up, Richard. And he said that won't be questioned anymore. Part of the overhaul that he referenced in his coach's show on Monday night. Jasper Johnson from downtown. Tap out Cam Williams and a foul on the Cats. We'll give it back to NC Central when we come back. Good response from Big Blue Nation tonight in Lexington. All Cats. Let's check out the good hands play brought to you by Allstate. What else? This tap back monster jam by Otega Owe.
Owe going up to the top shelf. With the offensive rebound putback. Beautiful jam by 00 White.
Tested the NBA draft waters in the offseason. Went through the process, was of course invited to the combine. Had great workouts, got good feedback, was expected to be a top 60 prospect, but decided to come back, work on his game, and try to lead Kentucky to a deeper run this year into the NCAA tournament. Remember last year they made it to the Sweet 16. It's the furthest they had been in quite some time, since 2019 in fact, and he played a big role on that team last year.
A great opportunity. Players now have to test the waters and still come back to college, and the compensation makes it a little sweeter to be back on the campus. But the challenge that Otega Oweh and company have is to now see if they can make a response and get this team where they want it to be.
You left the Crimson Tide after 3 years. Are you saying that if your compensation would have been in the general vicinity of what these Kentucky players are receiving, you would have stuck around for your senior year?
Well, it definitely makes the decision much easier. And you know, I think when it comes to the NBA draft process, it's a very difficult decision for underclassmen to make a blind move not knowing where you're going to go. And you don't have the option to go back and continue to play. So when you do have the ability to be compensated in college, it is a plus for players.
Nifty move there by Jasper Johnson, who just continues to grow and develop. Five-star freshman, played with Team USA in multiple tournaments at the youth national team level. Great defense there by the Tulane transfer Cam Williams, now leading the break for Kentucky. Jasper, catch and shoot three.
Shot there by Jasper Johnson, but it's been Kentucky getting a piece of the paint with their dribble penetration. You get to catch the ball with your feet on the line, your momentum's going forward, which allows you to get all that positive energy going through the net. Jasper Johnson starting to get into a little bit of a groove. That strong left-hand drive gets him into the paint. But this shot right here created by Chandler, getting into the painted area and kicking it out. Jasper Johnson doing the rest for the Wildcats.
New season high for the freshman with 15 tonight. Much better shooting performance tonight for Kentucky. 8 of 21 from downtown. 38% from beyond the arc. Here's Jalen Lowe. Chandler wide open. Another three. The 9th for the Wildcats.
This is where Kentucky once again is starting to flex their muscle. They're feeling it. But if you're Kentucky, you're under 10 minutes to go, and you seem to have firm control in this game. This is where you challenge yourself. We talked about NC Central playing every 4 minutes. This is where you continue to compete to develop your good habits.
Archie right into the body of Marino. And Marino drew the foul. Offensive on the Eagles.
Kentucky coming down in transition, finding an open shooter, and it's Colin Chandler in transition, stroking it from outside.
Well, Chandler's another guy that has really stepped up this year, double-figure scoring in 5 straight games. And he's 3 points shy of another double-figure scoring performance tonight. Lowe, Johnson, extra pass, Williams. Contact off the ball, and they're going to blow a whistle on it. A foul on Jasper Johnson.
Jasper Johnson is a football player, son. He got tangled up playing coverage right there. Pass interference.
Played a little quarterback, played a little safety right here in Lexington, Kentucky.
He's got to keep the technique and stay in phase as he tripped him up there.
He had interest as an underclassman. Louisville brought him on campus for a visit. Imagine him locking you down in the secondary with a 6'8" wingspan. How do you get free from that?
Be tough. I'm sure they could use him in a lot of ways. Red zone, end zone packages on the offensive side, jump balls. But he's definitely using his skill set in that 6'8" wingspan tonight. He's been having the stroke going.
A little zone from NC Central. And a whistle on the entry pass to Yelovich.
The foul is on Carvey. That's his second. And
Second foul on Corey Carvey. Jalen Lowe, zip out Johnson, regathers, hits a three. Johnson in his bag tonight with 18.
Number 2 in white's got a groove and really good poise as he shot that. Jalen Lowe probing around, finds open man, and it's Johnson once again.
Lowe, of course, did not start the game, didn't play at all in the first half, was listed as questionable, had his pocket picked there. 3-on-1. Davis shuffles, Lattimore finishes.
Good job by NC Central after the turnover, running that fast break to get an easy one. But Kentucky in the last possession a little bit stagnant, trying to get to the ball screen action. You want to keep the movement going.
Yelovich, good offensive rebound.
Good activity on the boards. Andrea Yelovich continued to fight.
Haven't been a ton of second chance opportunities for tonight for Kentucky that shot nearly 60% from the floor. Jasper Johnson included, a new career high 17.
Well, 17 because he's been in a groove, but the great pace that he's been playing with allowed him to get a clean look, and there he is stroking it.
Patel teaming up with Charles Barkley.
Charles would say, Dickie V, we got to do a game together.
Oh, it is showtime!
This is one of my bucket list things.
We got a typical Kentucky-Indiana battle, man.
Well, Dick Vitale was on the call of the last regular season meeting between these two teams in Bloomington. Kentucky fans won't like to remember that. The Christian Watford 3 to beat #1 Kentucky. But finally, Richard, we get this rivalry again. They played basically every year from the 1970s to that 2011-2012 season. They renew it this year, and it's a monster game for the Wildcats on Saturday.
Two historic programs, great fan bases. That's going to be a big game, and it's going to be an even bigger game to see what Kentucky can do as far as the response that they're trying to continue to have, building some momentum in some positive ways.
And then even bigger picture, which is, you know, something that the fans are concerned about right now, is NCAA tournament resume. Of course, playing in the SEC, you have plenty of opportunities to pick up tournament quality wins. The problem for Kentucky is if you go through the entire non-conference slate without a P4 win, which right now they're 0-4 against those ranked quad 1, quad 2 teams, you put yourself in a really precarious position in the toughest league in college basketball.
Absolutely. In the SEC, many teams have put themselves in some tough situations as with a lot of time, a little time left moving before conference play. A lot of teams in the SEC are going to have to try to pick up some signature wins. I think last year with 14 teams in the NCAA tournament, everyone talked about the dominance in the non-conference slate. The SEC has some really good teams, but they have some work to do early on.
Kentucky will get Indiana and then St. John's right after that. So two major opportunities to close out the non-conference slate for the Cats with a couple of signature type wins.
The foul is on Williams. That's his second and the team's final.
And then they'll have that crosstown showdown with Bellarmine out of Louisville at the end of the month. But Indiana, a team that's going to come into Rupp Arena limping a little bit. They've lost a couple of games, got court stormed against Minnesota last week. They were ranked to start the year. over the first month and a half of the season. So this is an Indiana team that comes in with expectations. They too will be hungry for a signature win.
It should be a great matchup to see between these two teams. The games coming down the pipe for Kentucky, they're definitely winnable games for the Wildcats. It's just a matter of, obviously, you have to take it game by game. Get a little bit of momentum, which will play a role in the confidence that this team can have before they move into the SEC play.
Away, inside, Williams showing the bunnies.
It's really good offensive possession right there by Kentucky. Showed some patience. They've been able to have 27 fast break points in this game with early offense. You need to see if you can score when the defense is settled.
Basket by Oathbrook.
It'd be impossible for you to give a really firm and accurate answer on this, but I'm going to pose the question anyway. For an SEC team to get into the NCAA tournament this year, what do you think you need win-wise? 20? Is 20 a safe bet? And I'm asking you, of course, to put the cart way ahead of the horse because we're early December here. It's hard to really say. But there's been so much speculation with Kentucky losing some of these games early. Like, what is the win total they have to get to feel comfortable this year?
Very, very hard for me to answer that. We've got to have the question. Sitting down with our friend, the bracketologist Joe Lunardi, to sit down and explain those. I look at it more from a piece of the eye test of how teams are looking to play. And obviously this is a team that has some room to grow. I think they are excited about the opportunity to grow. And there's time to get things together. As far as your resume is concerned, there's still work to do, but there's a lot of time in front of you to easily show that you're an NCAA tournament team.
Here comes Cam Williams. Yelovich, step through, showing the Euro.
That was
and the kiss.
A nifty move. Andrea Yelovich.
You ever play in Serbia?
Absolutely.
He played 2 years in the Adriatic Basketball Association for a club in Serbia. So you share that with Yelovich. Away upstairs. 21 tonight from the senior out of Newark, New Jersey, a season high, and a timeout taken by Lavelle Moten. All Cats all night long, and the fans not only enjoying the performance on the floor, but the world famous ice cream cone at Rupp Arena. Year 2 of the Mark Pope era, and he's got some homegrown talent on this roster. Jasper Johnson, of course, played 2 years of high school basketball here in Lexington. Malachi Marino from Georgetown, and Trent Noah, who tonight has looked like the sharpshooter that they hope he can be on a team so far this year that has struggled to find consistency, particularly from beyond the arc.
Absolutely, and Trent Noah got it going early on in the starting lineup, shot the ball with a lot of confidence and played some strong defensive work. Always good when you see some local kids contributing to the program. They tend to, oftentimes, you have a little bit more of the heart and soul behind it. But this is a team that's going to have to find who they are, and they're starting to take steps in the right direction tonight.
Marino the rebound. Here comes Jalen Lowe, the Pittsburgh transfer, who has missed 5 games this year with a shoulder injury. That's why he's wearing the wrap around that right shoulder. And Mark Pope said he would be day-to-day for the rest of the season. It's sort of that injury, not dealing with any pain, but just instability. And a nice feed inside to Marino.
Marino's been doing a good job in their screen roll action. He's been impressive tonight with his duck ins, his activity on offensive rebound, and there he is with the screen and cut to the basket and finishing.
Points for Kentucky. Their season high is 107. Well within reach. 3 minutes to go at Rupp Arena, and just down the road, the tree is lit in Lexington. Happy holidays. Border war tomorrow night on the women's side of things in Columbia, Missouri. Illinois at 8-1. Travels to take on the 9-2 Missouri Tigers right here on SEC Network, 7 p.m. Eastern. You can also watch it on the app. Otega Oweh has been absolutely sensational tonight. Season high 21 points on 9 of 12 shooting.
He came right out of the gate going. He got some clean looks from outside and was able to knock it down. The activity on the defensive end, able to turn it in some easy buckets, but he's been impressive. The big game that he needed to try to get a little bit of momentum moving forward in the season.
Well, Oweh, as we talked about, a little bit of a different role this year than he has been accustomed to in seasons past. And of course, he's got the bullseye on him as the preseason SEC Player of the Year, their leading returning scorer. So much expectations, not only for him, but for this program. After reaching the Sweet 16 in year one under Mark Pope, the sentiment around here was, boy, with all this talent, with the investment into this roster, this is a national championship contender. Haven't looked like it through 9 games, but as Mark Pope said, it's early. We are still adjusting to one another, and changes need to be made. The overhaul comment was heard loud and clear on his radio show just the night ago. Jasper Johnson knifes to the cup. He has 19.
This team has to figure out who they are right now with what they have. You can't have a conversation about what you wish that you had, what you could be, what you were expected to be. You are who you are, and you're going to have to figure things out really quickly. And players like Otega Oweh, whether you want it or not, you have that leadership role and high expectations, and he has the ability to do so.
As you might recall, there was a team back in 2013-14 that took a little while to get going under John Calipari that ended up playing in the national championship game, lost to UConn. So there is precedent here for the Kentucky Wildcats. And every year, frankly, there is incredible pressure and expectations as part of wearing the Wildcat uniform as Cam Williams rims out a 3. And here comes NC Central. Less than 2 minutes to go at Rupp Arena.
Spirited drive there by Slack, going end to end. And this is what you want to see from both teams, continuing to play until the final whistle.
Well, coming up on the SEC Network later on tonight, SEC Inside. We take you all access and behind the scenes of the most recent SEC championship game between Georgia and Alabama. Georgia finally got the monkey off their back, beating Alabama in the SEC championship game. One of the top 4 seeds in the upcoming college football playoff. Both made it into the field of 12. And the SEC well represented. Jasper Johnson having a breakout night. 22 for the young freshman.
Extremely efficient shooting performance by Jasper Johnson.
Third time reaching the century mark this year for Kentucky. Some of the walk-ons have come into the game for the Wildcats, and Big Blue Nation wants to see somebody hoist a shot here over the final 40 seconds.
It's probably going to be Jasper Johnson, as he has the hot hand. He's trying to get some extended minutes.
Here's a corner three. Sectow! Oh, and a rejection at the horn by Marino. Mark Pope's team comes out and scores 100+ for the third time this year. They went on an 18-2 run at one point in the first half and rebounded after a tough loss to Gonzaga. Now they look ahead to Indiana and St. John's.
Well, both of these teams came out and battled and found out some things about themselves. Kentucky shot the ball much better, moved the ball right around perimeter, and they'll look to see if they'll have some momentum, and a good fight by NC Central as they move forward and compete in the MEAC.
Big night for Oweh. New season high with 21. Jasper Johnson with a career high 22, and the Cats move to 6-4. For Richard Hendricks, Matt Schumacher saying good night from Rupp Arena. We send you back to studio with Peter and Damian. Guys.
The Kentucky Office of Highway Safety reminds you to please.
I'm not gonna be able to see. I'm just talking to the camera. Yes, I can hear you. Yeah. Yeah. We're not doing no towels. That's just weird. Yeah. It was big. You know, we just wanted to come out and, you know, turn the script, just play with energy. Obviously, we're on our home court, so, you know, we just want to go out there and have the most energy we can possibly and play with some intensity. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you know, we just got to – it's not even just me. We all just got to continue to pump confidence into each other, you know, regardless of, you know, the outcome. Obviously, last game we didn't have the outcome we wanted, but it's still so early. So, you know, me being an older guy, you know, I'm just trying to continue to preach that, you know, it's early and that, you know, we can still flip the script. And, you know, we just got to keep showing up every single day. Yeah. Nah, Jasper was great. You know, he came out there and he was really aggressive. I feel like that's when he's at his best, when he's playing aggressive, especially when you're a freshman. When you have games like that, it's definitely a confidence booster. So, you know, when Jasper comes in and he plays like that, it definitely helps us out a lot. Yeah. Yeah, we had a couple guys injured, you feel me? So we just do a next man mentality. We all practice every single day, regardless of who's here, who's not. So I mean, when the game comes, it's the same mentality. We just got to show up. Obviously, injury is something that is a part of the game, and it's not something that we want, but, you know, it happens. Everyone just has to be ready to step up. Yeah, Zach. Oh, he not here. Yeah. Yeah. Nah, that was dope. That was dope. Zach had his first field goal. It was great. You know, they show up every single day in practice to help us out. You know, a great amount. So the fact that he come out here and make a shot, that's huge. Yeah, sir. Appreciate you.